What's going on, guys? ChillisFM here, taking a look at 3 of the newly buffed Pokemon in the Might and Mastery season. Season 22 of the Go Battle League, and quite a bit has changed. First of all, we have Togetic, which now has Psyshock, the newly buffed Psyshock, which is a way better bait move than Aerial Ace, so it's a big improvement. It's got good coverage for it being a fairy type. It can now fight against the poison types with it. And then it has the double buffed Dazzling Gleam. What do I mean by double buffed? Well, it is now cheaper and it is more energy efficient than it previously is. It doesn't quite hit as hard, but it is more energy efficient. And since Togetic has some nice bulk to it, and it can potentially get to multiple of these things, it's a really good improvement. Second, we have Claydol. It's going to have Rock Tomb, which it already had, but Rock Tomb is now cheaper. You can actually stack 2 Rock Tombs now. I believe it is 50 energy for Rock Tomb. It does have that nice 100% chance of dropping your opponent's attack. And yeah, I mean, you get there just as quickly as the Scorching Sands. So if you think your opponent's going to shield, you can just throw that Rock Tomb, guarantee yourself that attack drop, and have a great matchup from there on out. Finally, we have Linoone. Linoone had a decent moveset before, but it didn't really have a good bait move. Now it has Swift. Swift is a 35 energy stab bait move. Actually more energy efficient than Grass Knot. Linoone has access to Grass Knot, Thunder, Dig. Grass Knot's going to be the most energy efficient of the expensive moves, but Swift's more energy efficient than those. I am using Linoone as the safe swap. I don't necessarily recommend that this season, but let's go ahead and get into some of these battles. All right. I should just say, for the first week, don't pay too close attention to the teams as far as them being climb teams. That's not really my goal. My goal is to try out a bunch of new Pokemon and see what's actually good and what's not so good. So Linoone here on the safe swap, able to actually outpace Galvantula thanks to the Swift. And now we're going to go ahead and just tank this lunge. I'm confident that we will survive. And actually, yeah, it barely puts us into the red. Out comes an Azumarill, and this is where having Grass Knot is really nice. Going to be able to hit this Azumarill for super effective damage. It is debuffed, so it doesn't do quite even half, but we do make it to another one, which will put this Azumarill into the red and put it at easy farm down range, which is really nice because if I'm ABA weak to ice, and they're going to be able to get to 2 ice beams regardless, but at least they're not going to be able to get to 3. So we're going to go ahead and eat this first one on Togetic. It looks like 2 will actually take out, so I am going to be forced to throw this Psyshock. I believe that was on CMP. Psyshock coming through, taking out the Azumarill. And of course, no, actually you're going to see a Galarian Stunfisk come in. And now, look, I know this is going to be the hardest hitting move, but I just want to remember just how bulky Claydol is. And yeah, we tank that lunge like it's nothing. In the yellow, I mean, that's a pretty hard hitting lunge, but Claydol, no big deal. No big deal. So we can show up the second lunge. We don't quite get the Mud Slap down. I have the back-to-back Scorching Sands ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and throw this first one, grab the shield. And now I really do want to clear my debuff. I honestly shouldn't show this. I know this is only a rock slide, but I was a little bit afraid that they might have, Muddy Water. So I'm going to go ahead and bank the Scorching Sands there. I was pretty confident that Claydol would actually win CMP against this Galarian Stunfisk. So I'm going to come in with Togetic, force him to throw a Rock Slide. And you can't bank a Rock Slide plus, Earthquake, because Rock Slide is 45. That means, you know what? I don't want to lie to y'all. So let's pull it up here. Rock Slide and Earthquake. Earthquake is 65 and Rock Slide is 45. Yeah, so they can never hold both moves. So even though I lost CMP, there was just no way I was going to lose this match since I did have the Scorching Sands banked, and that's going to be plenty to take out the Galarian Stunfisk. All right, into the next one. Another tough lead with the Alolan Ninetales, Shadow Alolan Ninetales. Now this one got double buffed as well because it did receive the buff for both Psyshock and Dazzling Gleam, but normally you're going to be running Weather Ball plus one of those other moves. So they are Powder Snow, which again, that's the worst move set for my team. If it was Charm, it wouldn't be so bad. But I can't really use shields here. I just got to hope that Claydol can Mud Slap through it in the end game. Out comes a Lapras, not going to shield this up. It is, of course, going to be the Sparkling Aria. And now I'm going to be forced to throw pretty quickly here because I don't want them to be able to get to an Ice Beam. Ice Beam would do a ton of damage to Togetic. So we are going to throw this Psyshock pretty much immediately. and be ready to come in with Claydol, knowing it has a little bit more fast move pressure. In the back, going to be a Malamar, and this is actually not too bad. I could definitely tank one foul play, but I decided to go ahead and shield the first one up to see if I can get the attack drop. I am going to go for the Scorching Sands in case they no-shield, because potentially then I could Mud Slap down before they make another foul play. We do get the attack drop regardless with the Scorching Sands, which is really nice. So now I'm definitely going to no-shield this foul play. Foul play comes every 10 Psywaves now, so we do need to throw fairly quickly. Same pacing as Superpower, basically. So we're going to go ahead and just throw this next Scorching Sands to ensure we get the KO. Out comes the Alolan Ninetales. Now, they're not quite at the back-to-back moves, so I am going to throw up the shield here. I'm going to go, of course, for the Rock Tomb. For one, it's super effective, and for two, it's guaranteed to drop their attack. So they're going to, of course, be throwing up the shield, but that drops their attack, and now Togetic is going to be able to survive one Weather Ball. Just can Psyshock take out this Alolan Ninetales? I'm definitely not going to be able to reach the Dazzling Gleam before another Weather Ball comes through. Psyshock coming through. Is it enough? And yes, it is. It takes out the Alolan Ninetales. Despite being a non-stab and a bait move, it hits hard enough to take out the Shadow Alolan Ninetales. So that's going to be a GG. Well played. Let's go. All right. Into the next one. Medicham lead. They do a few Cycle Cuts. I was expecting them to stay in since they likely have Ice Punch, but they actually swap out into a Quagsire. Quagsire does have access to Stone Edge. It would two-shot, not one-shot, but I don't really want to be in Ice Punch range. So I do throw up the shield, and they actually bait me with the Aqua Tail. I'm just like, man, come on now. Come on now. We're going to go ahead and just throw the Psyshock here. Doesn't quite take out, and if they have Stone Edge, I'm just going to have to eat it at this point. I do have Claydol, which can do fairly well into Medicham as well. But yeah, we do let it go. Out comes a Typhlosion. So I'm going to be swapping out into my Linoone, luring the Medicham back out. The nice thing is Linoone has Shadow Claw, so we are still hitting for super effective. And their Cycle Cuts aren't doing too much damage, so I'm going to be able to get a few moves off here after taking that Dynamic Punch. Swift, again, is the more energy efficient move. We are going to throw the Swift. We grab a shield with the first one, and we're going to be able to get another one off here. I recognized I wasn't going to make it to the Grass Knot, even though it would hit a little bit harder. So I'm going to settle for the Swift. Come in and settle for the Psyshock here. Psyshock, not quite enough to take out Medi, but honestly, I mean, I'm happy with that damage. Because now I can just let this go. It's going to actually be the Psychic, which we survive. Out comes the Typhlosion, and they're just not going to be able to make it to 2 Blast Burns. If you bait with the first Thunder Punch, you don't actually get to the next Blast Burn quicker. You have to, you know, basically go to 2 Blast Burns for it to really benefit you. So that's just GG's. Well played. All right, a great lead on the next one with Malamar. They're going to be swapping out into Credility. Now, Credility is a really cool pick this season since it does have Rock Tomb now. And I'm honestly not too sure what to do. I'm going to go ahead and stay in knowing I can outpace and get the Dazzling Gleam off. They let it connect. And so now I'm going to come in with Linoone. I'm not sure if I'm going to need the Grass Knot, or maybe I'll be able to Shadow Claw this into Swift range. I do go for the Grass Knot here on CMP, expecting Linoone to win it, which luckily I was correct. And they throw up their shield now. Looks like I wouldn't survive another Grass Knot very well, so I am going to go ahead and throw up a shield. And they actually go for the Stone Edge. So opponent either doesn't know about the move update or forgot to TM. I've been there, done that, so it's all right. I'm going to go ahead and shield that up, and we do get the Shadow Claw down now. They're going to come back out with the Malamar, but I have a ton of energy here on the Linoone. They're going to be forced to throw energy or give up another shield here, because here comes the second Swift already. Just going for Swifts, right? Because I want to ensure that I'm forcing them to throw the energy. If I threw the Grass Knot there, yeah, it would hit a little harder, but it would not take out. And yeah, look, we make another Swift because they get greedy. That forces the shield, and Togetic's going to resist all the charge moves here, unless they're running Hyper Beam. But in the back is going to be a Corviknight. I'm just like, oh, that's awkward. I don't really have an answer for that on this team at all. I'm going to go ahead and just do a few Fairy Winds to bank a move. Come in now with my Claydol and get the guaranteed attack drop from this Rock Tomb. Again, Claydol's bulk really just coming in clutch here. You can see that first move didn't do too much to Claydol. And we're basically keeping up with them. I mean, they're in the yellow. I'm in the yellow. This Sky Attack's not going to KO. and we get to Rock Tombs fairly quickly now. Going to be able to get this next one off. This will be putting the Corviknight into the red. So despite like really not having a good typing into the Corviknight, Claydol able to put in a ton of work. They do come and snipe me here with the Malamar, but that's perfectly fine. We can just Fairy Wind this down, leave with the Dazzling Gleam ready to go. And that should be enough to win the game, to be honest, because I mean, look at all this HP we still got on Togetic. My opponent knows it's over. They top left, and that's GG's. All right, up against another buffed Pokemon, Alolan Marowak. Assuming they're running Hex, I think they're actually running Fire Spin. So they're not running the buffed move. That's perfectly fine. I am going to still come in with my Linoone, because we're doing super effective damage with these Shadow Claws, and Linoone can have Dig, and it can have Thunder, so I'm expecting them to shield. Regardless, I'm going to go for the Grass. I don't want to go with the double resisted Swift, and they actually no shield, which is very brave, and it works out for them. But I think we're still in a good spot here. I mean, I think we're still going to win the Zero Shield. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 more Shadow Claws, get this Grass Knot off. Grass Knot should be enough from this range, so it does pull the shield. I'm happy with just taking the shield advantage here. I'm going to come in with Claydol. Unfortunately, I will have to give my shield back. This should be enough for the Shadow Bone. So I'm going to shield it up, and it's actually a Bone Club, which they definitely had the energy. I don't know what happened there. In the back, going to be in a Azumarill, and well, that's not great, but we're going to go ahead and get this Scorching Sands off to get some nice chip damage. Hopefully put them in Dazzling Gleam range after a bunch of Fairy Winds. Now they're staying in. I'm going to go ahead and no shield the Ice Beam. There might be something in the back that can hit a little bit harder than a non-step Ice Beam. We've already seen 2 Ice Beams do take out Togetic, but now I'm going to be able to get this Dazzling Gleam off before their next Ice Beam. They throw up the shield, telling me they must be weak to Togetic in the back. Going to go ahead and shield this myself and overfarm as much as I feel comfortable before throwing the Dazzling Gleam. In fact, I'm going to farm all the way up to 100 energy right here. I'm expecting this Gleam to take out, but I forget how bulky Azumarill is. They actually survive. 1 more Fairy Wind does take them out. In the back is going to be Talonflame. Oh, gosh. And then we get a lot of stutter lag, but regardless, they should outpace. I'm hoping we survive a fly and get this Rock Tomb off. My opponent goes for the Flame Charge. That's definitely not going to KO. We have the Rock Tomb ready to go. And that's going to be GG's. Well played to my opponent. I think we would have survived a fly as well. It would have been pretty close. Definitely not a Brave Bird though. So if they had Brave Bird, they should have gone for it, even though it would drop their defense and I'd be able to hit them with the Psyshock afterwards. But regardless, that's the play they should have made. All right, into the next one. Up against a Galarian Stunfisk. They let me farm energy and they come in with something to absolutely wall all this energy, which is going to be a Ferrothorn. Opponent not afraid of fire types whatsoever, or fighting types. I'm going to go ahead and just eat this on Linoone. I mean, like, this can't be a good matchup for Linoone, right? It can't be. But still, we're going to be able to spare out a lot of Swifts. Grass Knot would be double resisted. Definitely don't want to throw that. Here's another Swift for you. And the pacing on Linoone is just so nuts. So nuts that I'm realizing I can flip switch here. Hold up, let's throw up a shield. I'm hoping they don't have Mirror Shot. If they have Mirror Shot, then maybe not. But most are going to be running Power Whip plus Thunder or Power Whip plus Flash Cannon, which are both more expensive moves. So there's one Swift. That grabs the first shield. Here's another Swift, already ready to go. Linoone just so spammy with it now. I really do like that about Linoone. They're going to come back in with the Stun Fist. They're not going to be able to Mudshot down before I make this Grass Knot. They don't know my second move. It could be Dig. It could be Dig, which would hit for super effective. And they do throw up the shield, which is beautiful for me. So now I have Switch advantage and I have shield advantage. I'm not really too worried about an Earthquake here. I know that I'm definitely surviving 1, probably 2 to take out. And yeah, not even 2 will take out. In the back, going to be an Azumarill. So again, we see the bit of a core breaker here, but this time we have a nice shield advantage. I know Togetic's not getting bubbled down after 1 Ice Beam, and they're actually going to be running Play Rough, so that's even better for me. Dazzling Gleam going to be coming through here. It's the stab move. It's definitely going to be hitting harder over Psyshock. And here's the next Dazzling Gleam. Is this enough to take out Azumarill? They're a little bit below half HP, and of course it is not, but it puts them so far into the red that this game is just basically unlosable from this range. I can go ahead and no shield here. Play Rough comes through, takes out my Togetic, but this Stunfisk just can never make it through my Claydol, especially since I already have the Scorching Sands ready to go. So that's going to be a GG's. Well played to my opponent. getting the mud slap down on the Azumarill. All right, so overall thoughts on these three. Togetic actually really impressed me. Of course, there are things that wall it, steel types in particular, and fire types. You know, it's still a fairy, and it still struggles against those things. You could have an ancient power on it over Psyshock still, and so I guess maybe you can pull shields from like Talonflame. And that's probably why Talonflame didn't come in that one battle. It's because they expected ancient power. But I do think that this is a really big improvement for Togetic, and I could see it used pretty frequently on teams. Claydol. I think this is a really nice improvement for Claydol, and I think it's going to see a ton of play in limited metas. Its typing still kind of holds it back. I mean, being weak to Ghost and Dark and Water and Grass, its typing is just not the greatest. And I think there's other mud slappers that get to moves a little bit quicker that might just be a little bit better and have better typing overall. So I think this thing's like, its moveset's amazing now. It's incredible. It doesn't have a super cheap move, but it doesn't need it because it's so bulky. But yeah, I wouldn't consider it meta. I don't think you need to go run and build one for the Open Great League right now. Linoone, kind of the same story, right? I think it's going to see some play, not even as much as Claydol. I think Shadow Claw plus Swift is really good for it. It's a normal that loses to all the other normals since it's running Shadow Claw. And it's not necessarily good against most fighters. Like, yeah, it's okay against Metacham. We saw that. But like Grass Knot's not the greatest nuke move either. So I think there's just still other normal types that are going to outclass Linoone. You'll see it a few times throughout the season, but I don't think it's a top meta pick. I think Togetic really impressed me. I didn't run into a lot of poisons, so I didn't get to test that out too much. But I think Togetic can put in a lot of work this season. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. Appreciate you all so much for watching. Thank you to my channel members for your support. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like and a comment down below. Until next time, this is ChillisFM reminding you to always keep pushing forward.